So I'm here today with my mum and dad, Mark and Sherryll, and I just thought I'd do some informal interview questions because usually you're quite serious on a Sunday morning, and I thought it'd be quite nice for people to see a different side and just have some fun interview questions. So
sounds good.
Yeah, should I start?
You can start.
You can start away, yeah.
So this is a more of a serious one, I guess, in a way. But the first question is, how have you found lockdown and adapting to the pandemic?
One of the things about lockdown is that, because Mum and I are both introverts, we practiced for this all our lives.
That's true.
So we just breezed into it at first.
Yeah.
But now it's getting a bit harder. Now we've been in it sort of 4 and a bit months. It's kind of getting like, we miss people, we're getting a bit bored, a bit frustrated, but we're keeping going. But I'm glad we're introverts and not extroverts, otherwise we'd probably be tearing our hair out.
For an extrovert it must be really difficult.
Yeah, you probably initially quite liked being at home.
Well, I know in that initial 3 weeks just at home, and it was just like, oh, that sounds really good. A bit of a break, just being with each other, and I had all these plans. I was going to read and do housework things that I haven't had time to do, none of which got done. A bit of reading maybe, but I think with the pandemic, there's 2 sides to it. One is you do the things that people, the government ask you to do to keep everybody safe and your family safe, and our heart went out to those that were struggling. But we really tried to walk it by faith, didn't we, ourselves, personally, and put in the things that we'd learned over the years and hopefully encouraged others to do the same thing. So for us, I feel that we've managed quite well, but we've been aware of others.
It's been important to walk it by faith, because otherwise you can get into all sorts of anxiety, all sorts of concern, worrying about all sorts of things, worrying you're going to catch it and so on. But because we've walked it by faith, that hasn't really
we've
been
managed
as
to
much
keep
of
our
an issue.
peace, I think.
I guess you've had to adapt with the church as well quite a lot, the way that you've been doing Sunday morning services and reaching people and anyone who's had kind of pastoral issues, adapting the way you do that. And I guess that's been quite a challenge because it's happened out of nowhere and kind of just sprung upon you, and you've had to quite quickly change the way you do everything in both your home life and your work life.
Well, Mum's become a video star. So I'd done video stuff before, but Mum had never done it. So that first Sunday morning, she was stood talking to a camera in an empty room, never having done that before, and she's been amazing.
Yeah.
Were you nervous to start off with?
I was really nervous, particularly that first morning, not really knowing what to do, and everything was so new. I think everything through this time, you've had to adapt and do new things, which initially isn't easy, but then I think you get a bit more used to it. And we've had to adapt the way we do church, how we speak to people, see people, and that again initially was quite hard, and trying to hold all that together, but hopefully we're doing our best to do that. Our heart is to help people as well, so so hopefully that's gone okay.
As a mum, was there anything he specifically gave you a lifeline during the time when you didn't see your daughter, for example? Like, did you find that hard, not being able to see your family? Yeah,
not being able to hug, that close proximity. I'm so thankful for
We
FaceTime.
still haven't hugged, obviously.
We haven't, no, we've kept our distance, even though we're bubbling a little bit now. But yeah, it was hard. I think just again, everything changing, not being normal, having to think ahead of what you can and can't do, and just missing that normal daily life. So that has been hard, but thank goodness we've done a lot more. Actually, I think we've talked a lot more on FaceTime and making the effort to contact each other.
We've done a chocolate tasting, haven't we?
We did.
Online
chocolate tasting.
That was good.
That was really good. We had we did that with Grandma, didn't we? And all zoomed in, and making an effort to keeping in touch with each other.
So on the topic of foods, some people call it, I guess, your last ever meal or your desert island meal. What would you say if it was your last ever meal before, you went?
Yeah.
What would that be? Like you can do starter, main, dessert.
Yeah.
For Dad, you might pair his wines with it. I know you like your wines.
Yeah, we leave the wine side to Dad.
What would you have? Your favourite foods?
Mine would be, as a starter, prawns on avocado. So I love that with the Marie Rosé sauce. Could eat that till the cows come home. Very retro. And then Christmas dinner with turkey, applesauce, stuffing, Dad's roast potatoes, who makes the best roast potatoes, a la Jamie Oliver, probably. Followed Jamie Oliver's method.
No,
but you've tweaked
Delia's
it.
Well,
Delia started it, I think.
Yeah, Delia's the best.
We do follow Delia's book, don't we, at Christmas, pretty much. We do have parmesan baked parsnips, and we are Delia Smithers. On the whole.
For everyone watching, Dad's roast potatoes are the best.
They are. We got him an apron, didn't we, last year with Dad, the king of the roast potato. So we make you wear that at Christmas, don't we?
Have you finished your meal?
I finished my meal. Oh, yeah, pudding. Oh, Christmas pudding.
Really?
Yeah. Plum pudding and rum sauce. It followed closely with apple crumble.
Yeah.
Mum's apple crumble.
Yeah.
So, and custard. But there'll be a fight for which.
Would you have a drink of choice?
Start with a glass of Prosecco.
Yeah.
And then whatever Dad chooses to go with turkey. We usually leave that to you, don't we?
Yeah.
So what would you go for then?
Well, same all the time. Mussels to start with. That's my starter of choice if we
I didn't know
have starters.
Mussels.
But it's so rare that you get them on a restaurant menu in the UK as a starter.
Yeah.
So I'd go for mussels, then I'd go for steak with garlic and herb butter, or big thick cut fries, couple of grilled mushrooms, that sort of thing, and then raspberry pavlova. Raspberry pavlova is the essential ingredient to all perfect meals.
Oh, interesting.
And because I'm sharing wine with Mum, then we'd have several bottles of Chateauneuf de Pape. I think that's how it works.
Well, if it's your last meal, why not? You might as well go out with a bang. So a lot of the questions are very food related. So because I am a foodie, we're all foodies. We are a foodie family. So I was trying to think of interesting questions to ask that were food related. And one of the ones I came up with was, what was your packed lunch at school? Did you have packed lunches?
No.
School dinners?
Had school dinners.
What's your favourite school dinner then?
I don't think they were really that nice, were they?
But there's loads of things.
I had packed lunches, so you stick to your school dinners.
You go first.
Jam pudding with custard. Did you not have that?
When I was at college, I did have a packed lunch, and my favourite packed lunch was Heinz tomato soup in a flask with cheese and pickle sandwiches. Cheese and pickled onion, not pickled onion. So pickled onion sliced on the cheese, and I used to love the combination of the cheese and pickled onion sandwich with it had to be Heinz tomato soup as well.
Yeah.
Heinz tomato soup. So that's what I used to take often. That was my favourite.
Yeah. So tuna sandwiches, nice white bread, plenty of butter on it, which I still love. Yeah. And with those, I'd have if we could have them. I'm not sure. Do they still do them?
What?
Cheesy quavers. Or cheesy puffs, those sort of things.
Yeah,
little packet,
quavers are cheese flavoured.
Yeah, little packet cheesy puffs and a pot of yoghurt, preferably of Asprey.
Very similar to what you used to pack me for my packed lunch, Mum.
I did.
Tuna or Marmite sandwiches.
Yeah.
Used to have a yoghurt and either a Twix or a Penguin bar.
Yeah.
Because back then you were allowed chocolate in your packed lunch.
You
now
did.
you can't.
Yeah. Well, we always allowed chocolate. So chocolates, you were allowed. After a meal, a little bit of chocolate, and I don't think either you or Matt are really big sweet chocolate lovers. And I remember at the time people saying, oh, don't give children any sweets, it's better if they don't have any sweets, just give them chopped carrot and things like that, which I did. You got the chopped carrot, but you got a little bit of chocolate, and then I found that you didn't crave it because it was just, and you don't, do you? even though you're baking cakes now. And,
Matt's still got some of his Christmas chocolate left in
he
his
does,
room.
yeah.
we were
Easter eggs
hoarders.
get left, yeah. We usually sneak in and
Chocolate
eat.
hoarders, not because we
Yeah.
wanted to eat them, just because we didn't eat them but didn't want to give them away either, so we just stashed them in our room somewhere. Yeah, so when you were making, did you make your packed lunch or did your mums make your packed lunch?
No, well, when I was doing mine, I was at college, so I would make mine.
Yeah, my mum made mine.
Your mum
Yeah.
would
Same
make
every
yours.
day.
Do
No
you-
change.
Do you have a favourite meal that your mum used to cook, either, like both mums?
Ooh, my mum's such a good cook. She used to make really good toad in the hole with sort of nice sausages and then the batter. And it was, I remember it was quite a fancy thing, really. I mean, it isn't, it's basic, just a batter, but the sausages in there and the batter.
I'm sure Grandma will be watching. She can make that for us on
She can
Sunday.
make that, yeah. Although I remember we once had a French student staying with us, and we would normally just have cornflakes for breakfast. And this particular morning, when the French student was with us, my mum had chopped up strawberries. And I'm thinking, wow, this is amazing. Strawberries for breakfast on cornflakes. Actually, strawberries on cornflakes is a really nice combination, and it's something that we've done.
My breakfast every morning is strawberries on shreddies.
Yes, yeah.
Favourite
So it's,
breakfast?
I've obviously passed it down.
Yeah. What about you? What did Nana used to make?
Well, because we're northerners, everything revolved around pies in our house. And Nana's best pie was homemade cheese and onion pie. Big dish,
Yeah.
cut it into slices, brilliant.
Yeah, and she used to do corned beef hash
She did do
in a
corned beef
pressure
hash.
cooker.
Yeah.
That was one that I often had when I used to
Yeah,
come
not,
and visit
not
before
a
we were
fan,
married.
personally.
No, but I used to enjoy it. Again, something very different. I don't think we had a pressure cooker. I think your mum had a pressure cooker. I used to be really frightened of this pressure cooker, but the corned beef hash that came out of this pressure cooker was absolutely delicious.
Nana still makes
She
corned
does.
beef hash.
Yeah.
Yeah, even at 96?
And, well, this year's 96.
96 years old, yeah.
Yeah.
So, Dad, you've obviously been an accountant and you've been, or still are, a pastor of Faith Life Church. So, in a way, that's sort of two professions, and Mum's been a fantastic housewife and mum, which is a full-time job. So, other than those professions, because I count a housewife as a profession,
Mm-hmm.
what else would, other than those, what would you like to do if you could have kind of had a parallel life or something? So not giving up what you did, but if you had another second life, what profession would you like to try out?
Mine's easy. I wanted to be a comic book artist.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Nan and Grandad said that I had to get a proper job, and that wasn't one. So that's why I ended up being an accountant, because they didn't like the idea of me going to art school,
Yeah.
and so I never got to be a comic book artist.
So you do that.
I definitely would do
Would
that.
you create your own comic book story, or would you just illustrate for other people?
I'd illustrate.
Yeah, although you probably could write a story as well.
Well, there's some great writers out there though.
Yeah, just do the illustrations.
Mm.
You did do some drawings for Jess and Matt, didn't you, when they were little, and they were a bit comic booky. And if you'd have had time, I think you would have probably done a bit more.
So what would you do then?
I think actually one of the things that I really enjoy doing is again creative. So probably a bit on the design side of things. I
Interior?
love interior design. I do a little bit, I dabble at it myself. I love getting a mood board, colours and fabrics and pulling things together. Don't have a lot of time to do it, but when I do a room, a bedroom, I really enjoy doing it and then seeing the finished product.
I'm sure you would have done a better job than Laura, actually, Mum.
Well, I if I'd have gone and trained, then I think that would have been something that I would have found interesting.
So, Dad, do you have a favourite superhero that you would have liked to illustrate? Oh, and Mum, what's your favourite superhero?
Well, we love watching all the Marvel films, don't we?
We just watched all 22 movies.
That was one of the things we did in lockdown. Each week we watched Marvel, sometimes two Marvel films, and we started right at the beginning and we watched right to the very last one, the Spider-Man one after Endgame, didn't we? And really enjoyed those. And I was so shocked that Mark assures me that I had watched it, but in some of them I just couldn't remember having ever watched it. So that was quite good. It felt like we were watching it all new again. But there is one film, it's not part of that series, that I've always that I've enjoyed. It's not a well-known one, and it's called The Green Lantern. And I absolutely love it because the Green Lantern is a superhero. At the start of the film, he doesn't know the power that he has on the inside of him, and then he has to walk through certain things, and at the end he finds out the superhero powers that he has. And as I was watching it, it really reminded me of us, that when we're born again believers and we've got power on the inside of us, but we often don't know what we've got, and it can take time as we work it all out to find out that actually in the kingdom we are superheroes, not because of our own stuff that we have, our own strength, but because of God in us. And the Green Lantern had to find out what was in him, and I just loved that parallel. I really enjoyed it, and he gets there in the end.
Incredible Hulk. Stronger on the inside than on the outside.
Yeah. In fact, for Father's Day this year, we got the little Hulk, didn't we? You made a raspberry pavlova, and Tori, who's a member of our church, made Mark a little Hulk, and we had it coming out of all the raspberries, didn't we?
Yeah, I think that your previous birthday, I made you a Hulk cake as well.
Yeah, you did.
Green cake,
Very Hulk
Very Hulk
themed
themed.
cake.
Hulk
I'll
themed.
probably make you a Hulk cake for this year as well, don't worry. Some of the next questions are going to be quite quick answers, so not to keep it on the theme of end of world type questions, but if you had to take one of the following into your nuclear bunker, which one would you choose? Percy Pigs, Curly Wurly, or Toblerone?
Toblerone.
Curly Wurly.
Thought so. Favourite book in the Bible?
Galatians.
I like Psalms.
Psalms.
Yeah.
Favourite crisp flavour?
Cheese and onion.
Roast chicken.
Chocolate or cheese?
Cheese.
Chocolates.
Really?
Over cheese?
Yeah.
What about the stinky cheeses?
Well, I like stinky cheese. I like them all, but I'm not allowed chocolate. So it's only fair to balance it up when I get the chance.
I'll have the cheese, you have the chocolate.
Excellent,
We'll share, and then we'll be fairly happy.
Yeah.
Won't we?
Nutella or Marmite?
Ooh, Marmite with the cheese.
Nutella. Hate Marmite.
That's true.
Piccalilli or pickled eggs?
Oh, piccalilli. Your mum's piccalilli.
Piccalilli. My mum used to make
Yeah.
piccalilli. My dad's brother, his oldest brother, even into his really late years, he used to have an allotment, and he used to grow marrows on his allotment.
He did.
He used to bring them round, and then my mum would make homemade piccalilli,
Yeah.
and he'd get some jars of it for the marrows,
Yeah.
and we'd eat all the rest.
Is Piccalilli a predominantly northern thing, or what do you think? Or is it?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I think it's northern the way my mum did it, because she used to make two varieties, just like an ordinary piccalilli like you see, but she used to do another one with a whole pickled onions in it.
That's right.
That was brilliant.
Mum would love that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was
In
my
a cheese
favourite.
sandwich.
In my cheese, well, piccalilli and cheese sandwich is probably again one of my favourites.
You didn't have the one with the whole pickled onions in the
Yeah.
cheese sandwiches, because
Yeah.
it came up in a bump where the pickled onion was, so you just have to use the other one.
I have a funny story actually about Nana's piccalilli. When Dad was away at university and I hadn't gone yet, because I'm a bit younger, but we were going together, weren't we? Because I was only 17 when we started
You were, yeah.
going together. And so I would go up and keep Mark's mum company, because your dad used to work shifts. And we lived near each other, only about 200 yards away from each other. I used to pop in. Anyway, this particular night I popped in from school, and she said, would I like to stay and have a meal, which I did. And she said, oh, I'm making piccalilli after dinner, would you like to help me? So yes. So we chopped up all these vegetables, and part of the process is you have to boil vinegar, and you put all your vegetables into the vinegar. well, all the fumes of the vinegar were entering into my school uniform, but I didn't realise, you know, a 17-year-old didn't think. Went home, and the next morning popped my same jumper on, skirt, off I went to school, and everybody in the classroom was like, what is that smell? That vinegar smell.
Oh, no.
And I smelled of piccalilli all day at school, and I've never forgotten that smell of piccalilli as I took it into school the next day.
Yorkshire Gold or PG tips?
Oh, definitely Yorkshire tea. So yeah, it's
I
going to
don't
be Yorkshire
understand
Gold.
people who like PG tips.
No, brought up in the north.
A weak
So
tea.
yeah, it's a strong cup of tea.
What's your go-to Nando's order?
Oh, that's easy. Mine is, I love the chicken, but with the lemon, mild lemon herb.
Do you have it
seasoning.
as the butterfly chicken breast?
I do, butterfly chicken breast, sometimes in a bun, but I also like the sides of the sweet potato and the ratatouille, and I love the coleslaw as well, and the hummus is nice.
All the sides.
All of them, yeah.
So I do like all the sides. We usually start with hummus, don't we, and pita bread.
Yeah, we do.
Then if I'm being good, I'll just have the butterfly chicken with the sides.
The best
But I
bit
do like it in a bun as well.
about the hummus is adding the little pot of sauce that comes with it.
Yeah,
swelling
swelling it in
adds
the
a
chili
bit of
sauce.
paprika-y spice to it, and then your hummus.
Yeah.
What about
Yeah.
you?
Half chicken, hot,
Hot.
fries,
spice.
macho peas.
Yeah.
And then the frozen yogurt. You've got to have the frozen
Oh,
yogurt
yeah.
at the end.
I've
Yeah.
never had that.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah.
You've said how long you've been together, since you were 17.
17.
So how many years is that?
40.
This year. We
Yeah.
we actually, you asked me out on a date in August, and you just
In
got
fact, in 11 days' time, it's 40 years.
40 years. 40 years. Like, that's
So I asked Mum for a date on the 15th of August,
Yeah.
the day I got my A-level
A-level
results.
results.
And we had our first date, and then 7 years later, on that exact same date, we got married.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is 40 a big milestone? Is it one of the...
It is if it's your anniversary. It's Ruby, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really
40,
big, but we've
but
got 7 years to go
7
to
years
the
to
to
get
wedding
to the
anniversary.
official.
Yeah.
But we're 40 years well, we've known each other for a lot longer because we live near each other
Yeah.
and went to youth group together. So we actually had our first smoochy dance
Smooch
at the
dance.
church youth group.
Church used to.
disco.
She had a
disco.
Snoopy t-shirt
Snoopy
on,
red
Snoopy
Snoopy
sweatshirt.
t-shirt that you've never forgotten, have you?
No.
And Dad asked me for a dance to a slow music, and I put my arms around you, and we sort of did this.
And all the friends
slowly.
laughed at us from the side.
All my friends we all went around in a circle looking at us.
What is your
That was a long
favourite
time ago.
thing about Cheryl, about Mum? Your favourite thing, Dad?
There's lots, but I think it's because she always thinks the best of people,
Oh, that's really nice.
and she always tries to help,
Yeah,
even when it costs her.
it's true. You do always do that, Mum. I can vouch for that. If you could save one thing in a fire, other than your family, of course, because we would be your priority, and the dog,
Definitely. Yeah,
what
and Lily.
would
So
you...
the dog would actually be the priority. not that.
Yeah. Dog first, then
Dog first,
family. What would you try and save if you could? Like if it was right next to you and you grabbed it, is there anything, do you have like a special,
Yeah.
something that you've been given by Dad, for example, or something that your kids have given you? It's a hard question. I don't know
It
how I'd
is.
answer it, because
Yeah.
when you're in a fire, your family
Yeah.
is the thing that counts, but
Well, if you get your family out, then that's the main thing, isn't it? Because everything else can be replaced, but that would
Getting
be what
your
you...
insurance policy out would be handy.
is that what you're going for?
No, I'm going for my watch. I
Yeah?
love my watch. Mum got me it
Yeah.
Oh.
a few years ago, and I love my watch.
Yeah.
Hopefully you'll be wearing it at the time.
Well, I have probably, once I've got you guys out, and it's interesting, isn't it, how family is often the key thing.
Yeah, that's why I said about it, because it's nice to
Yeah.
know if you had,
Yeah.
like I know for me, I would want to save my cuddly toys, because
Yeah.
despite being nearly 29 years old, I would be absolutely devastated
I
to
know.
lose them all.
Well, they've all got memories attached, haven't they?
Yeah.
At different times of life,
Yeah.
you've been given.
Yeah, go for the most
so-
flammable thing in the house, Jess.
But it is those precious things,
Yeah.
isn't it? I do have a box of things that are quite precious. So things from my grandparents, my parents, and things that you have made me. I've kept all of the cards, pictures, little craft projects that you've done, and one of the things that is really precious to me is that little book that you and Matthew made for me. It's got a lovely silk binding, and you drew pictures and you wrote me letters.
I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, there are some spare pages. I should give it to you, and you and Matt fill it in now. Sort of, I don't know how many years later, maybe 15 years ago, you did it, and you put messages in, and also since then I've put more little bits and pieces in there. That's in my bedroom, easy to grab, and I think I'd probably get hold of that.
If you could time travel, what era would you like to visit?
Ooh, time travelling. That would be interesting, because if you could just go back and see something, then come back again.
Yeah.
That's a hard one for me, because I studied history, did history A-level, and so I've always enjoyed history and times and thought about it.
Or maybe there'd be an iconic figure, like would you like to meet Queen Victoria?
Yeah.
I would like to have tea with Queen Victoria.
Yeah, and just ask questions.
About their food.
Yeah, I'd like to be a fly on the wall and just see things that happened from an observer, what actually happened, because you think you know because of what you read in books, but did it really happen like that? It would be nice to actually go back to certain historic moments and actually what happened. So that would be really interesting to do. And this sounds really way out there, I know, but it is something I've often wondered. If you could go back to the Garden of Eden before the fall and know what it was like to just be in that place where everything was new and fresh, and
you wouldn't need any new frocks.
No frocks, no. That's true. So that, I mean, I know that one day it will all be made right again, but it will be different to that initial Garden of Eden. So I often wonder what that was like, the colour, the freshness, before sin had entered the world, where there was nothing, no death, and what did that look like? So that is something I often wonder about. But probably a time in history, it's something that I've always found interesting and read a lot about, novels, things like that, is the time of the exploring into the prairies, that the people that had landed in America, that were exploring a new land and going into the land. I don't think I would have liked to have lived then.
So you're just visiting
I'm
for
just
a day.
visiting, because there's a lot about going back into history that you would think, I don't want to live in that time. I like the things that we have now. But it would just be interesting, I think, to go and see when things were developing, things were very different to how they are now.
I think you'd be a good time traveller. You'd go back to all the eras.
Go back to lots of places.
Yeah.
Probably don't have one specific.
I'd like to go to the Victorian era and look at the way they made food then, and the processes they developed, because a lot of our favourite foods came from the Victorian era.
Yes.
The Christmas pudding, correct me if I'm wrong, Christmas cakes, the wedding cake came from back then.
Yes, it did.
Mince pies,
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Lots of like meat dishes.
Yes.
Created our British cuisine really.
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, I want to go back to kind of Art Deco, late 20s, early 30s, Poirot era, in those like apartments that they had with
Would
the
you
Art
go on
Deco.
the Orient Express?
Well, one of the things I really love to do is I kind of like to go back to that era, preferably with butler service and a nice murder to solve, somebody dodgy in the library with a sort of lost Russian nephew or something like that. But one of the things I do want to do is I want to go and visit a lot of the locations that they used in those books, particularly things like obviously the Orient Express, go down the Nile. But the one place I really want to go is a place just off the coast, I think it's off Devon, called Burr Island. where 2 of the books are set, and it gets cut off at high tide, and you go across on this like escalated tractor thing that rides above the waves.
Yeah.
And I'd like to go there, but it's really expensive. So.
Which book is the one that we watched and they dramatised at Christmas?
Well, this Christmas.
Oh, I don't know. It was this
Well,
Christmas.
the ones at Burr Island are, and then there were none.
That's it. Then there were
And
none.
then the other one is Evil Under the Sun.
You both like Agatha Christie, don't you?
Yeah, probably got
Murder
that from you,
mysteries.
Dad. It's the only type of books I like. I'm not really very good with lovey-dovey.
I know, I'll get you one every Christmas.
Yeah.
I'm the living.
Give me a murder mystery, I'm gripped, and we
Yeah.
try and work out who's done it.
Yeah.
And a lot of the ones Dad will pass down, he'll quiz me halfway through the book. Who do you think did it? So
It's nice for you two to be able to enjoy that together.
last question, really. If you could meet one celebrity or iconic figure, dead or alive, who would it be?
You go first one, I think. You probably know who you would like to meet.
Well, kind of Jesus would be
Well,
good.
yes.
Failing that, the Apostle Paul.
Oh, interesting. I thought you would have gone for David Bowie.
Yeah, him too.
Bowie?
David Bowie.
I've got absolutely no idea. That's completely stumped me. Who would I like to meet other than Jesus? Because that would be quite a thing, wouldn't it? That would be a time to.
Well, we get to do
travel
that
back
one,
to.
so maybe we
do,
should choose a
do.
different one.
So I am going to choose a different one.
I would invite Kate Middleton.
Well, I was actually thinking of the Queen.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because she's lived such a long time, lived through a lot of things. There's lots of things that I'd like to ask her. She's still alive, and I think she doesn't run the country, the government does that, but she has quite an oversight and a wisdom there that I think she's learned over many, many years. She's quite a private person, so we don't actually know an awful lot about her private life, even though I think we do because we've watched The Crown and read all the books, but just to hear her from her perspective about her life and what she's seen through her many years.
So we could have a lovely family party.
Yeah.
Kate Middleton,
Yeah.
the Queen,
And
Jesus.
And
St.
David
Paul.
Bowie.
David
Bowie.
Bowie.
That would be
Paul, yeah.
quite a dinner party,
Yeah.
wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So you could explain if it was David Bowie, you could try and explain to me the lyrics of Life on Mars.
Yeah, so thank you for letting me interview Mum and Dad.
You're
And
welcome.
hopefully the questions weren't too challenging. And I think everyone will find it really interesting because it's a bit of, behind the scenes insight into the things that you love and enjoy. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.